So, the Orville Season 2 came to a close with an interesting episode that I gotta admit I wasn't quite expecting just yet. I thought they were setting something up for perhaps a later episode in Season 3, should that happen. I haven't heard anything. If you have, comment down below. But by now I would have thought we'd hear that yes, it's been renewed. I hope it is, because it's a fun show. Anyway, so in the last episode, tomorrow, where Kelly had a bit of a time warp there, where her past self from 7 years ago appears, and they go through that whole romp, and her past self gets to see her future, and she's all disappointed. And so they have to send her back, and they attempt to do a mind wipe so she doesn't remember what happened in her little adventure in the future. And she goes back, but apparently it didn't work. So she still remembered at least some of it, what happened. And when she gets her morning call from Mercer, she turns him down for the second date, and then they never get married. So time is completely changed, and it was odd because it wasn't exactly indicated. I thought there would be like, oh, there's another parallel timeline or something like that, but no. Right off the bat, the next episode opens up, and its time has been completely changed, and the adventure the Orville had with Isaac and in the Kalons and discovering their sinister plot went very differently with a different captain and first officer, I guess. And they lost, and the war happened, and the Earth was destroyed, and now humanity is scattered, and they're on the run, and the Kalon is just running around wiping out life and whatnot. So we open with a logical assessment of what might have happened is that Mercer and Gordon are still pals, and they're on the run looking, scavenging for food and whatnot. They're able to find a replicator. I forget what they call it on Orville. Magic microwave of it, and then the Kalon shows up and chases them and all that. The interesting thing here is that they did spend some money on this final episode, and a lot of the special effects are pretty spectacular. I know that comparisons to another show shows that it's a little cheap on that, but it never mattered. It never took away from the excellence of plot and story. So, but here is a nice little treat, and instead of aping Star Trek, here, they're kind of taking a bit of a parody of Star Wars, and even the music at times kind of matched more Star Wars rather than the Star Trek music of the movies with Goldsmith and sometimes James Horner. You can catch little melodies here and there that are reminiscent of that. And but here it was more of a Star Wars deal, especially Empire Strikes Back, when you had the Millennium Falcon being chased through the asteroid and all that sort of stuff. Well, you have that kind of twice in this episode. First with the shuttlecraft, and they're trying to flee the Kalon, and then the freighter that Kelly is leading. Kelly is kind of they look like a pirate crew, but it's basically the Orville crew, and she's managed to convince them, because she knew things about their lives that she couldn't possibly know, that this wasn't the right timeline, and that something went horribly wrong because of her. And so they finally catch up with Gordon and Mercer, and she explains to Mercer what happened. And so it's still the indications that there's still obviously love between the two, and if they got a third season, you'd have to consider at some point they'd reunite as a couple, even though they're thinking it's a bad idea because it went bad. But still, they're not really loving anyone else. They're attracted to other people, but and the only other serious relationship Mercer had was with that Krill woman, which is bound to turn up again. That's why it needs a third season. I mean, she's bound to, probably when Kelly and Mercer get together and maybe even get remarried, I don't know, the Krill woman will show up with Mercer Jr. Yes. That's usually how it works, and stuff like that, which could probably work out even better. Well, maybe not better for the Kelly and Mercer, but the idea that relations with the Krill might smooth over because of the threat of the Kalons, that there might be an alliance there on that purpose, so they can actually have visitation and stuff, but it would still put a strain on the relationship between Kelly and Mercer. So it's interesting plot lines that could be explored there if they can get another season. If they can't get it on Fox, I would seriously recommend them shopping it around to Amazon or Netflix, what have you. So anyway, more of a Star Wars romp as they're basically the resistance against the evil Kalan Empire, and they're being pursued, and they go to find other resistance people. Turns out, oh, here comes Alara. Yeah, we get a cameo from her, but I think it's just a brief cameo. I don't think she'll be returning later. But there she is, and it suggests that in this alternate timeline there was a romance between her and Lamar. Now the scene is kind of frozen. It doesn't. I don't know. They probably should have reshot it to give it more emphasis. But that's probably the only weakest part there. And then she basically says, "I'll hold them off," as the Kalan show up, and they manage to escape. They needed to go there to get a chemical that would help with the metabolism of Kelly so that the mind wipe would work. This is what the doctor overlooked the first time around, and now she realizes, oh, that's what we need. But of course, supplies are limited, but they're able to find it at this secret base that's sadly no longer a secret. And they escape in Kelly's freighter. And then there again, you have kind of the asteroid chase scene with the Kalan ships. And now this is where the science gets pretty wonky. Now, granted, it is a comedy, but they say, oh, there's a black hole. We can escape in there. And they say, what are you talking about? You will be crushed. And of course, yeah, that's what would happen. But no, if we just slide in at an angle on the event horizon, I don't know. If that's possible. So they do it, and then time flows by faster for them than it does for the outside of the world. So there they see the Kalan ships trying to find them, and so they managed to come out. I think it's like, what was it, 2 weeks later or something like that kind of thing. But the Kalan are no longer looking for them. They figured out they got crushed in the black hole. So they got to head back to Earth to recover the Orville. Now the Orville crashed in the Pacific Ocean during the Kalan War. And so they get there, and there's some pretty spectacular special effects done there as well, with the moon having been destroyed, and you see it's all, kind of half there and a bunch of rocks floating around. And then the Earth is just completely dead. It's all devastated. And so they go down, and then there's still water. So they're able to go down despite the pressure of the depths, which is dangerous for them, and they manage to get to the ship. And they discover that there's still life support going on. And so and the reason being is that Bortus had stayed on board during the Kalan War, helping other people escape so that he could give them a safe way back to Moklis, which they had to inform him that Moklis was destroyed. So his family, Clyden and Toba, are dead. So I was wondering where Bortus would be, and there he is. And so they fire up the ship. They're able to repair it and actually get it to fly out, and then here come the Kalan again, but they're able to recreate the time machine, and they captured a Kalan drone or soldier or what have you, and they're able to access Isaac, and so Isaac even makes an appearance, albeit through data stream, I guess, and they're able to recreate the time machine, if you will, and send the doctor back in time to wipe Kelly's mind once again, and this time she had the chemical to do it and all that. But the interesting thing is they show Kelly, this time she gets up, she fixes herself some coffee, and then she drops the coffee cup and it smashes on the floor. It's like, doesn't she notice this? When she gets, there's no indication of it after the doctor appears, explains to her, you got to fix the mind wipe. So she does. This puts Kelly back to sleep for a little bit, and then she wakes up again, and she's kind of confused a bit. And then the phone rings, and it's Mercer again. This time, she says, I'll be glad to go out with you again. And there you go, a simple date. The universe is saved. So look, it's just a fun, good show, and of course, it's more comedy drama with more drama here and there than comedy as it was originally, but still, it's a funny show, and of course it pokes fun at itself, and it just makes it more inviting and whatnot. And of course, it completely captures the intent of this show. Yeah. So easily another 5 stars for the Orville. Boy, I hope it gets renewed, because there's a lot of stuff to explore there further. And the interesting thing about this is I wondered if they wanted to break from the Star Trek template and have the Kalons actually win the war, then yeah, they'd be a Star Wars romp for a little while, you know, and then try to push that to break free of the, you know, the whole Federation type thing with the Union and that sort of thing, and to take risks like that and challenges for the show to do its own thing. It kind of already is doing its own thing with the way they're set up in their characters. These are brand new characters, and they have their own lives and setups and whatnot, and it deals with the issues and have it that come in the show very well. And so, but again, maybe that would be an interesting thing to do. But, well, they didn't. It was a time trip, and they fixed it. And so now, if they do get a season 3, they'll be back to business as usual. But it is an interesting thing, I think, that they might want to consider pursuing down the road if they get the chance, which I hope they do. Even if they don't do that idea, I would love to see another season of Orville. That would be nice. It's on my Christmas wish list. All right. Thank you for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like the video, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch it anyway. And for those of you who have subscribed, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And hey, while you're here, take a look at that link description below. Some of those links will take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. You know, the usual hats, mugs, t-shirts, posters, stickers, stuff like that. Knock yourselves out and make me smile. Yes. All right. See you next time. Bye-bye.